Hi guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon VGC 2019 Moon Series How to Play guide. I hope you've been enjoying these guides as we've been going through them up to this point. If you've missed any of the ones prior to this, just go up here. I'll link a card for you lovely people so you can hop over and check out all the other Pokemon that we've already covered in the Moon Series. But today, getting on to a new Pokemon, we're going to cover one of my favorite restricteds. And I say this every time, but this genuinely is one of my favorite restricted Pokemon, and that is going to be Palkia. I really hope you enjoy the guide. As always, if you enjoy this sort of content, make sure that you do drop a like on the video to support the channel. Make sure that you do subscribe as well so you don't miss any of the content. Make sure you hit that little notification bell as well, but most importantly, make sure that you do leave your comments in the comment section down below. I love hearing your thoughts and feedback on these guides with what you'd like to see going forward. But without further ado guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the guide, and we'll just jump straight into it. So starting off with a Pokemon overview as we normally do. Palkia is a dragon and water type Pokemon. It has the ability Pressure. Common attacks that you're going to see on Palkia are things like Hydro Pump, Spatial Rend, Flamethrower and Trick Room. Hydro Pump obviously going to be its water stab attack, Spatial Rend its dragon. You're going to have utility attacks like Flamethrower. It has access to Blizzard, to Thunder. Lots of varied moves that it can take advantage of with its special attack stat. Trick Room as well, a nice support option on there if you don't want to go so fast or offensive with it. So it's got nice options in general. Base stat total of 680. It's got a 90 HP stat, 120 attack, 100 defense, 150 special attack, 120 special defense, and that 100 speed stat like we've already mentioned. And that is the most important thing I think about this Palkia, because you look at all of the other restricted Pokemon in this format, they're either base 90 speed, base 97, or base 99, like things like Xerneas and Yveltal. So it gets the jump on literally all of them and a lot of the other non-restricted Pokemon in the format as well, giving it a huge advantage. You can see as well from that special attack stat, 150 base there, which is massive. And because most of its big attacks are going to be special base, it can really take advantage of that move pool and cut through opponents' teams very well. So not a Pokemon to underestimate by any stretch of the imagination, and you've got to be prepared for all different variants of Palkia. Type, strengths and weaknesses, obviously with that dragon and water type, and it is very nice. It has got weaknesses to dragon, which you don't see too often, so don't need to worry so much about that. And then the fairy, which is a more threatening type that you do need to be aware of. No immunities unfortunately, but nice resists to steel, fire and water there. So that is a basic overview of Palkia, and without further ado, we'll jump into the first sample set of this guide. First sample set is going to be Waterium Z. Of course, coined by the Moon Series, we have been introduced to the Z Crystal, so what better way for us to start off? We're going to look at common attacks that we're going to need on this sort of Palkia, like Hydro Pump, power up that Z Crystal and produce that Hydro Vortex. Spatial Rend's nice coverage there. Flamethrower is nice for things like Kartana, Ferrothorn, otherwise you might struggle to hit. And then Trick Room is a nice option on Palkia, just to ensure that you have maybe some support options for the other Pokemon on your squad. We went nothing flash here for Palkia. This Palkia is going to be hitting hard, hitting fast, so to do that we want to make sure that we're optimizing those base stats, going with a timid nature to boost its speed. Effort values, we're going to go for 4 HP, 252 special attack and 252 speed. Again, nothing fancy here, just making sure that it hits as fast and as hard as possible. Doesn't really make it difficult to gauge what you're going to be outspeeding and knowing what you'll be able to knock out with the right support. Attacking calculation example here, just to give you guys an idea of what this thing can do. A 252 special attack Palkia Hydro Vortex, which is a Z move, versus a 252 HP, no special defense Xerneas in the rain, is a guaranteed one hit kill. Guaranteed. Xerneas is one of Palkia's biggest threats, and you can remove it. You're going to outspeed it. Max speed from Palkia outspeeds max speed Xerneas, so guaranteed, as long as you can get that rain up onto the field, you'll be picking up the knockout there. It's going to have heavy investment in both HP and special defensive stats to make sure it can survive that attack. Defensive calculation, just to give you an idea of what Palkia can do without any defensive investment. A 252 special attack Timid Tapu Lele Moonblast versus this particular Palkia is only got a 6.3% chance to one hit kill. So even without any investment defensively, Palkia can can still take a lot of hits. Common partners you're going to see with Palkia are things like Stack Attacker, matches up against those fairies very well. You're going to need the Rain as well from something like Kyogre, which pairs up beautifully with Palkia to just ensure that that Hydro Vortex is as powerful as possible. And also Amoonguss, another very nice partner that we've seen Palkia and piloted well with Palkia teams in the past. Supports with Rage Powder support, can really take full advantage of that Trick Room if Palkia decides to go down that route. So very nice partner in general. Common checks you're going to see are always things like Xerneas because of its fairy typing, Tapu Fini because it resists those water type attacks, those dragon type attacks, and Palkia really will have a hard time in front of Tapu Fini. And also Kartana because it does outspeed Palkia, can hit it with those leaf blades that are still going to do heavy damage even though they are neutral hitting, and without Flamethrower on Palkia you're going to find it very difficult to hit back and damage something like a Kartana, especially if it's holding an Assault Vest. So that is the Waterium set. So the next set that we're going to look at is going to be the Lustrous Orb set. So this is just a variation in case you don't want to go down the Z route with Palkia. Another item choice is that Lustrous Orb. It does give Palkia a 20% boost in all dragon and water type attacks, so namely the Hydro Pump and the Spatial Rend. We went for a quiet nature here, 0 speed IV, just to make it slow as possible because we are going to be utilizing the Trick Room with this particular build. We've got an effort value total of 108 HP. We've got 4 defense, 156 special attack and 236 special defense. So bulking out and making sure that this thing can take special attacks better than any other Palkia that there has been. There's some attacking calculations for you here. A 156 special attack Lustrous Orb boosted Palkia Hydro Pump versus a 4 HP, no special defense Xerneas in the rain is a pretty much guaranteed nearly one hit KO, 87% chance to knock out a Xerneas in the rain. So with rain support here you can make sure that you are doing a lot of damage against just your standard Xerneas without, even if it is bulked out a little bit, you know you're going to do a lot of damage. So maybe a bit of chip on the Xerneas beforehand and that will allow you to pick up the knockout with this Palkia. Defensive calculation example here is going to be just showing off that special defensive bulk that we've invested here. A 252 special attack Fairy Aura boosted Xerneas Moonblast, so that's a timid Xerneas, versus this Palkia. It's going to have only a 12.5% chance to knock out, so a very good chance that you'll be able to take that Moonblast from your standard Xerneas. So if you can take that and you've got the rain up, you've got a better chance to knock it out than it has got to knock you out. Common partners you're going to see with this sort of Palkia are going to be things like Incineroar for the Intimidate support to support the defensive stat. You're going to see Kartana as well. It pairs up nicely with that water typing to have the grass, fire, water typing there with the Incineroar, and then Solgaleo is something as well that's quite nice to pair with the Palkia because it does have the ability to come in and deal with those fairy types that do threaten Palkia so heavily. You're going to have common checks. Examples here are going to be things like Tapu Lele, Amoonguss and Dialga that all give Palkia a lot of issues. Tapu Lele will outspeed this sort of variant of Palkia and can hit it for big damage with those Moonblasts. Amoonguss as well is something that can come in if the Trick Room is set up and if you don't have the right techs and support around Palkia, can cause a lot of disruption, especially with Rage Powder and Spore, and then Dialga as well, part Steel type. Gonna just take neutral damage from the Spatial Rends from Palkia, gonna take resisted damage from the Hydro Pump, will be able to fire back dragon type attacks that will cause Palkia all sorts of problems. So that is the Lustrous Orb set there. So the next sample set we're going to look at is the Choice Specs Palkia set. We are going to make sure that we are hitting things as fast and as hard as possible with the Choice Specs boosting that special attack. We went for a timid nature just to maximize that speed stat, make sure that we are getting the jump on things that we need to hit first, and we went for a varied EV spread. Quite defensive because I think the Choice Specs allows you that with the boost you're getting already, and allows you a little bit of room to put some defensive calculations in here. So we've got a 76 HP EVs, 116 defense, 28 special attack, 36 special defense and 252 speed. An attacking calculation example, how little attacking investment you need here. A 28 special attack Choice Specs Palkia Hydro Pump versus a 4 HP 0 special defense Xerneas in the rain is a guaranteed one hit kill, and showing you some defensive calculations here. So 252 special attack Lunala menacing Moonrays Maelstrom versus this particular Palkia is a guaranteed 2 hit kill, so you're always able to take that huge Z move from Lunala, making sure that you can take that and maybe pick up a knockout on its partnering side of the field. Common partners for this sort of Palkia are going to be things like Groudon, can pair nicely with it because Palkia really is something that you can switch in on Kyogre pretty easily and start threatening very quickly. You're going to have Tapu Lele as well with the terrain. It stops any priority support from the opposing side of the field, and then Venusaur as well, which pairs nicely with the Groudon and then the Palkia to give you a really fast threatening mod alongside this offensive variant. Common checks again are going to be things like Tapu Fini, which Palkia will struggle to deal with, especially if it's not got that Thunder attacking option. Zygarde as well, if Palkia gets locked into something like Thunder, can come in and really disrupt and do a lot of work against this Pokemon, and Solgaleo as well from that common core can come in, especially if Palkia is locked into something other than Flamethrower. Most of the time Solgaleo is going to be able to come in and just do quite a bit of work against it, so things to watch out for there with this Pokemon. Next sample set we're going to look at is a 50% berry, and by the looks of things the example here, it's a radioactive Guava berry, but we're going to have a look at this set. So we went again for a quiet nature. We've got a 0 speed IV and an effort value of 228 HP, 116 defense, 12 special attack and 148 special defense. So some attacking calculation examples here. A quiet 12 EV invested special attack Palkia Hydro Pump versus a 252 and no special defense Ho-Oh in the rain has 75% chance to pick up a knockout. So you've got very little special attack investment here, but as long as you've got rain support with it, you're still going to be hitting these big defensive restricted Pokemon for very good damage. And in defensive calculation here, again we're going with that Xerneas because it's such a threat to this Pokemon, but a 252 special attack Fairy Aura boosted Moonblast versus this particular Palkia and only has a 6.3% chance to pick up the knockout. So most of the time it will be just proccing that berry, allowing you to get the Trick Room up, support the rest of your team members and move on from there. You're going to have common partners with this sort of build are going to be things like Dustman and Necrozma, complement it very well. Politoed is a nice option outside of Kyogre if you did want to go down a different restricted pairing, and Lurantis as well. Once you get that Trick Room up, it does really support Palkia very well with its grass typing, especially against those opposing water type and other threats. You're going to have common checks in Groudon, Ferrothorn and Tapu Koko there. Groudon going to be able to come in, disrupt this sort of Palkia with its Sun, reduce the damage of those Hydro Pumps and really threaten quite heavily with those Precipice Baits, Tectonic Rages and things like that. Ferrothorn's another thing that you need to be very careful of, especially if you aren't carrying Flamethrower on Palkia, and Tapu Koko as well are prone to carry Dazzling Gleam, which can do a lot of damage, and if you're locked into something like Spatial Rend or you can't utilize your Hydro Pump because of the Sun, then Tapu Koko can be something that is very difficult to deal with, especially if your Trick Room has been denied. And we're going to finish off with the counter options and summary of Palkia. So Palkia just covering those speed stats that it can hit: a maximum speed raw stat of 167, a minimum speed stat of 94. So if you are going under Trick Room conditions with Palkia, if you need a check for it, make sure that you're just underspeeding that 94 speed stat, because without an Iron Ball it cannot be any slower with a 0 speed IV and no investment. A common speed stat for Palkia I would say would be that 167 speed stat, making sure that Palkia really does take advantage of having the jump on the majority of the restricted Pokemon in this format and can do a lot of disruption and damage through that ability to do that. Common items you're going to see on Palkia are going to be things that we've covered in this guide, like the Waterium Z, Lustrous Orb, Choice Specs, and the 50% berries as well as some options. You might see variants with the Assault Vest, but it does take away support options like Trick Room, so not too sure how common an item that will be, but probably looking at these item choices here as the most common on Palkia. Gonna have common attacks, you've got to have that Hydro Pump, it's its only real powerful water type attack that it's got access to. Spatial Rend, which is its signature dragon type attack. Flamethrower, very nice option. You've seen throughout this guide how much things like Kartana and Ferrothorn can wall it without that option, and then Trick Room to support other options on the team. Common partners we're going to see with this sort of Palkia are going to be things like Amoonguss. We've already mentioned how good it can be in those Trick Room situations to support Palkia, especially does a really good job against fairy Pokemon and pulling away their threatening attacks. You're going to need Kyogre. A lot of the calculations that we've covered in this guide are going to be based off having the rain up, so you need something to bring the rain terrain, Kyogre's a perfect partner for Palkia to do that. And then Cortana as well, it is something that can come in and really help support Palkia against those fairy types with its steel typing. Best format checks you're going to see for Palkia are going to be all the fairies. You're going to see things like Xerneas, Tapu Lele, Tapu Koko, just to name a few. Cortana is going to be something that can threaten it, can outspeed it, can do big damage to it, especially if it's got access to Bloom Doom. Amoonguss as well, if you do go down a Trick Room variant, you make sure that you've got support against that. Something like Tapu Koko's terrain can really benefit you and help you from being spored and prevent it from being shut down. And then Dialga is another thing that can really put the stoppers on Palkia if you don't have the right support for it. Best format walls are always going to be Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini just walls Palkia all day long, can take all those Hydro Pumps, is immune to the dragon type attacks, and can just dish out damage constantly over on Palkia and one-on-one. You haven't really got much chance unless you have that access to Thunder, and then you haven't got some other support options there. So Ferrothorn is another thing. If you haven't got Flamethrower, in the same respect that you haven't got Thunder for the Fini, if you haven't got the Flamethrower for the Ferrothorn, it can do a lot of damage and really disrupt. So there is a quick overview, quick guide to Palkia, giving you some examples of how to run it in this guide, how to take it forward in this format. I feel like it's a very strong Pokemon. It's got access to that 100 base speed, which is amazing, and I think that is the thing that really sets it apart from the other Pokemon in this format. With that Z Crystal as well and access to rain support, it can just demolish teams that aren't prepared for it. And you can't really discount the fact that it has got Trick Room support. So look at teams when you're in team preview, look at what it's partnered with. Can you identify Pokemon that could benefit from the Trick Room? Because that'll be a good indicator to whether this Palkia is a bit more supportive or it's all out attacking. You've got to be careful, don't underestimate, and make sure you approach it very carefully because it can do a lot of work. But hope you've enjoyed this guide. I've really enjoyed going through Palkia. It's going to be a bit of a quicker one today, but again, we give you some examples to get you started in the format, give you an idea of what Palkia can do and what it's capable of in the Moon series. Very excited to see where it ends up at the end of the Moon series. I've got a good feeling about Palkia. I think it can do a lot of work in this format, but hope you've enjoyed it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you for the next one. So until then, take care and bye-bye!